Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the literary structure of a truly profound piece of ancient writing, Psalm 53. If you love discovering the dramatic narratives hidden within dense, historical texts, well, you're absolutely in for a treat today. Understanding exactly how ancient authors structured their work gives us incredible insight into the universal nature of storytelling, not to mention human psychology. These are themes that absolutely still resonate with us right now. We're going to look at just 6 verses, but as you'll see, the narrative arc packed into these lines is incredibly dense. So let's just dive right into it. We're hitting the ground running right at verse 1. The fool says in his heart, there is no God. I mean, what a provocative way to open a poem, right? Immediately, the text establishes a central conflict. It doesn't try to ease us into some gentle philosophical debate. It just drops this bold, dramatic statement right in our laps. And that sets a very specific tone for everything that follows. We're dealing with a text about ultimate realities and ultimate human choices. To ground our analysis today, we'll be using the English Standard Version of Psalm 53 as our roadmap. By looking at the complete structure, the stanzas, the verses, and the footnotes, we can move through this chronologically and uncover exactly how the author builds their argument. We're going to navigate this verse by verse, really dissecting the literary engineering at play here. Context and musical roots. Before we really get into the meat of the verses, it's absolutely crucial to remember that this text wasn't just a static document sitting silently on a page. This is an ancient piece of liturgy meant to be experienced loudly by a community. Take a look at the introductory header addressed to the choir master. According to the text's footnotes, words like mahelaf and maskil are probably musical or liturgical terms. This framing completely shapes our understanding, doesn't it? Our source is actually a song. It's a structured composition specifically designed for a musical leader to guide an audience through. Phase 1, the foolish and corrupt. With that musical context in mind, the text immediately introduces us to a primary problem and the resulting behavior of those who make that opening denial. Notice how beautifully the text constructs this tension. Verse 1 presents the earthly denial, the claim that God doesn't exist, but right on the heels of that, in verse 2, we get the divine reality. God looks down from heaven. This is pure cinematic, dramatic irony. The earthly figures are fiercely denying a reality that the text tells us is actively observing them from above. Let's break down the dense poetic descriptions from verses 1, 3, and 4. To really grasp the total, escalating severity of this moral decay, we have to look at the progression. The text says they're doing abominable iniquity. It explicitly notes there is none who does good. It deepens, saying they are falling away together. And then there's this striking, visceral metaphor. They're eating up my people as they eat bread. Finally, culminating the descent, they do not call upon God. It's a comprehensive, escalating portrait of absolute corruption. God looks down. Having established the absolute mess on the ground, the poem forcefully shifts our gaze upward. We transition completely from human action to divine observation. According to verse 2, God looks down on the children of man to see if there are any who understand, who seek after God. Now, check out the footnote connected to the word understand in our source text. It notes that this can also be translated as act wisely. Think about how perfectly that contrasts with verse 1. The poem opens with the fool, and here, divine observation is specifically searching for those who act wisely. The structural symmetry going on here is just fantastic. But what exactly is the result of that divine search? Well, verse 3 delivers the verdict, and honestly, it's bleak. They have all fallen away. Together they have become corrupt. There is none who does good, not even one. Notice the repetition here. We saw the phrase, there is none who does good back in verse 1, and it's repeated almost exactly here in verse 3, but with the added emphasis, not even one. This repetition is a powerful poetic tool that builds emphasis and paints a picture of absolute, inescapable desolation. Which leads seamlessly right into verse 4. The poet asks, have those who work evil no knowledge? I want to just pause for a beat on this question. This is where the rhetorical weight of the text really lands. The author is marveling at the sheer ignorance required to consume others, to eat up people as they eat bread, and completely ignore the divine reality. It's a profound moment of reflection, right in the middle of the song. Terror for the wicked. And then the text snaps. Everything changes. We hit the climax of our dramatic arc. All the tension that's been building over the first 4 verses suddenly gives way to dramatic action. Look at this incredible psychological shift in verse 5. The text says, There they are, in great terror, where there is no terror. The very people who were previously so arrogant, who claimed there was no God and were comfortably devouring others, are suddenly struck by blind panic. And fascinatingly, the text notes they're terrified where there is no terror. It's a spontaneous internal collapse of their false confidence. And why exactly are they terrified? Because divine action finally arrives. The text delivers its most violent and active imagery right here. For God scatters the bones of him who encamps against you. This isn't just a mild rebuke. This is ultimate, definitive defeat. The language of scattered bones implies total ruin and a complete unmaking of those who are acting corruptly. The climax resolves with this final note in verse 5. You put them to shame, for God has rejected them. Notice the total reversal of fortunes here. Back in verse 1, the fool confidently rejected God in his heart. Now, the tables are completely turned. The corrupt are the ones who are shamed and decisively rejected by the very God they claimed didn't exist. It's a masterful closing of that specific narrative loop. Hope for restoration. Now, this song doesn't just end on scattered bones and terror. Let's move to our final verses as the poem pivots entirely from judgment to hope. Verse 6 opens with a sudden, passionate plea. Oh, that salvation for Israel would come out of Zion. This is a massive shift in scope. For the first 5 verses, we've been dealing with universal human corruption, the children of man. Now the focus narrows down to a specific desire for the salvation of a specific people, Israel, coming from a specific place, Zion. And the ancient song resolves on this really beautiful note of joy. The text concludes, when God restores the fortunes of his people, let Jacob rejoice, let Israel be glad. The dramatic arc is now complete. We started in the depths of absolute foolish corruption and denial. We moved through divine observation and terrifying judgment. And now we land securely on the hopeful anticipation of gladness and restoration. Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. As we look at the entire structure of Psalm 53, it genuinely asks us to consider, if universal corruption and denial are the core human problems, is divine restoration the ultimate necessary resolution? The text certainly constructs its ancient argument to lead us right to that door. It's an absolutely brilliant piece of literary engineering. I hope breaking down this structure has sparked your curiosity to explore even more ancient texts on your own. Keep questioning, keep analyzing, and we'll see you in the next explainer.